Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Thank you for your time and thank you for stopping by. This week, I have something I've been meaning to do for a long time, and that is to record my protocol in a more professional setup and share a little bit about myself and my story. I generally don't like to do that for many reasons, but I know that people find that interesting and helpful, and my only wish is that they don't fall into the trap of label syndrome and think just because they don't exactly have my labels that this would not help them. But that is absolutely not true. And all you would have to do is visit my site and just look at some of um, the very long list of conditions that are treated with this particular type of natural oral immune therapy, and you'll understand that these labels are pretty ridiculous. And just just a brief note that when I began this site, I think there were about 5,000, and now we are up to at least 7,000 different syndrome labels. So that just highlights my point that I don't want anyone to feel that this wouldn't help them because they don't have my specific labels. Okay, I'm going on to my site and I'm reading from some notes here. So, the greatest kindness you can render any man is leading him to truth. And that was true in my case, and I'm sure it will be true in your case as long as you are willing to look. It's true that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So hopefully you will take this to heart, and hopefully you will do the very minimum work necessary to make your own health and wellness journey happen. Okay, so after losing my health and career, I began an intense journey back to my own beginnings, seeking resolution and understanding of the missing factors that resulted in my own health conditions, most notable being MS, multiple sclerosis. I eventually recovered thanks to natural oral immune therapeutics and the pioneering work of Dr. Nobuto Yamamoto, Dr. Marco Ruggiero, the work of Cedars-Sinai, Dr. Pimentel, Dr. Henry Lin, and many others. Since my recovery, I have sought to make their research known to the general public, and I have reported on the history of this subject, leading to one of the most ambitious goals ever set by WHO, the World Health Organization, in 2017, in a historic development plan of prevention that will eradicate up to 90% of chronic conditions, 90% of conditions in children that progress to chronic gut, immune, and impaired development conditions that follow them throughout life. Okay, I'm not totally retired from my advocacy efforts, but I am fully recovered from all of the conditions I sought to use this protocol to treat. So, first, some general timelines. Placebo recipe will begin to get relief in as little as 2 weeks to 4 months. Don't take it over 4 months. Natural oral immune therapy, Bravo, GCMF, the others for IBS, IBD, and other chronic gut conditions. 4 to 6 months daily use is the average recovery time. Natural immune therapy, GCMAF, with Bovine, Colostrum, and others. I'm including Bravo here. Various conditions that could be up to 12 to 48 months, dependent upon the severity of the condition and other factors, including drug use, diet, poor sanitation, chronic malnutrition, or malabsorption. If you'll note, these are the optimal breastfeeding times of children, which is anywhere from usually 2 years to 48 months in countries where parasitic conditions are prevalent. So I have some other timelines here, and this is on my About page. The WHO statements for their 2017 Millennium Goal. Breastfeeding, food security, and water security are major protective factors against malnutrition and critical factors in the maturation of healthy gut microbiota. Characterized by a transient bifidobacterial bloom before the global rise in anaerobes, early depletion in gut bifidolongum, a typical maternal probiotic known to inhibit pathogens, represents the first step in gut microbiota alteration associated with severe acute malnutrition. So this is depletion of these important bacteria. This condition is known as SAM. Later, the absence of a healthy, mature anaerobic gut microbiota leads to deficient energy harvest, vitamin biosynthesis, and immune protection, and is associated with diarrhea, malabsorption, systemic invasion by microbial pathogens. A therapeutic diet and infection treatment may be unable to restore bifido in healthy, mature adult. Healthy, mature anaerobic gut microbiota. Researchers found that malnourished children's microbiota failed to follow the healthy pattern they identified in healthy children. The microbiota of malnourished children is immature, lagging in development behind that of their healthy peers. Supplementing these children's meals with widely used therapeutic foods that increase calories and nutrient density reduces death from malnutrition, but it does not fix their persistent microbiota immaturity. Perhaps more insidious than the slowing growth is malnutrition's effect on less visible aspects of health, including impaired brain development and dysfunctional immunity, which follow these children throughout their lives. And that is a statement from the father of the microbiome, Dr. Jeffrey Gordon. Regarding SIBO, SIBO can cause severe malabsorption, serious malnutrition, and immune deficiency syndromes. Prognosis is usually serious, determined mostly by the underlying disease that led to SIBO. Okay, so that is just some things I want you to keep in mind. So here we go. I was born 2 months premature, very low birth weight, and was not breastfed. This increased my risk of SAM. Immature microbiota not rescued by diet and gut immune deficiency significantly. That increased my risk of SAM and gut immune deficiency significantly. Problems that plagued me throughout childhood and the majority of my life. I wasn't expected to survive. There were not nearly the advances for preemies that are available today, but I did survive thanks to many. There's not enough space to list the conditions that I endured throughout my life due to early onset gut immune deficiency, but my immune system began to collapse in early childhood. By age 17, I was on my first gut drug. I had minor food intolerances since early childhood, and eating never made me feel better. In fact, these eventually got much, much worse. I coped with recurring gut pain by not eating, which only worsened my malnutrition problems. These problems became much worse by repeatedly being placed on antibiotics. What followed was a plethora of diagnoses and failed treatments in an attempt to regain my health. After medical treatments failed to address my gut health, I began a lengthy attempt with failed diets. Among the most severe of my conditions was blindness caused by optic neuritis, which I was blind for 1 year. I'm since fully recovered with no noticeable differential from healthy eyes in a serious autoimmune syndrome, MS, that left me unable to function most of the time. The dangerous injection drugs. I was put on drugs that were as strong as chemotherapy. It would take me a while to think of what type of drugs these were, but so I'm not going to do that, even though I do know what type they were. So anyway, steroids and high-dose synthetic vitamins I was placed on did nothing to alleviate my condition, and I eventually developed a large lesion on my brainstem that left me perilously close to death. Over a decade ago, in fact, now it's been 14 years, I was told that within 2 years I would be peeing myself in a wheelchair. And I only hope to serve as an intelligent inspiration regarding today's current medical breakthroughs in natural oral immune therapy. And as you know, I've begun to tackle metabolic syndrome conditions that were prevalent before the biological tsunami of not breastfeeding began to overtake the world. Okay. My total recovery time was 18 to 24 months. My gut health improved in 4 to 6 months, right on schedule. If you go to sites that mention Bravo yogurt and the doctors that use those kind of treatments, that's the average time. And mine was precisely that same timeline. I began to reverse SIBO in 2 weeks by reducing H2S with my SIBO recipe. I'll explain all about that recipe when I get to that video. And today I just practice a maintenance schedule of natural oral immune therapy using colostrum and beneficial probiotics in some form. At least once a week, I try to consume mammal milk daily because this is what feeds the good bacteria and what they prefer. So I've had 20 plus years of patient guidance and advocacy toward the most effective treatments on earth. 2024, it will be 20 years. And I'm sure I'll be here after 20 years. I was among the first to create a home-based MAF recipe. After my beneficial experiences with popular MAF products like Bravo, I eventually moved on to preferring unadulterated bovine colostrum as the better choice for over-inflammatory conditions like mine, although MAF products were not the cause of this inflammatory response. I want to make that clear. It was my own dysfunctional autophagic system and my own fatty acid profile that led in part to those kind of responses. My first website was published in 2004. In the Lyme, CFS, and EBV community, I helped expose the validity of testing with ELISA Western blot and PCR and the validity of treating with such extremely toxic drugs over long periods of time. I was diagnosed with all of those. I would like to say which most of those are a somewhat fraudulent misdiagnosis. And it's necessary to remember that the reactivity on the test, ELISA Western blot, P24 antigen, PCR, or viral load is caused by intoxication and oxidation. Especially in the beginning, the test ELISA Western blot, the proteins were exactly in the same in so-called infected and non-infected cells. And if you would like the papers on that, will gladly send them to you, but the proteins are exactly the same. There was once a time when AIDS testing was mandatory in this country because it gave so many quote-unquote false positives, and I would just like you to closely analyze the word false positive and what really happened that led to the removal of those tests was actually what I just said. The so-called infected and non-infected cells contained the exact same proteins. And those tests measure oxidative stress. The reactivity is caused by intoxication and oxidation. Okay, I've also helped expose the genetic for-profit industry. And that's a long story, but this is regarding mold. I'm also a mold survivor. A few of my other diagnoses were fibromyalgia, CFS, IBS, SIBO, IBD, and many, many, many more. Okay, I also had many. I am allergic to mold. I'm still allergic to mold, but I can tolerate much more exposure to mold than I used to be able to. And I would like to point out that it would only be a matter of time before anyone in a moldy environment would get sick. I just happened to be one of the canaries in the coal mine. So what else? I've written extensively about synthetic pharmaceutical drug dangers and synthetic vitamin dangers. I eventually moved on to exposing the truth about harmful and extremist diets that lead to more malnutrition, more immune tolerance. Immune tolerance is the ability of the immune system to see in more patients with SIBO, not fewer. Okay, so thanks to Bovine colostrum-based, natural, non-denatured, oral, and therapeutic treatments, my immune system can see again. I no longer have tolerance. I no longer have gut pain. I no longer have any of the inflammatory conditions that I was suffering with 14 years ago. Poor gut health is one of the leading causes of chronic conditions. Okay, so I think that's about it. And there's just one more thing I want to share with you regarding colostrum and what you'll find in this special publication. And then I will film my video of exactly how to make this recipe. And the one thing I would like to say in this, I used to recommend olive oil to use a fat to dissolve your colostrum. That's really no longer necessary. But if you want to, you don't have to use olive oil. You can use avocado oil. It tastes so much better. But that's still in this publication, so you could just ignore that. So 8 things you should know about bovine colostrum, the living immune system. Bovine colostrum survives transit through the gut and may replace the need for secretory IgA. IgA is the most common immune deficiency syndrome. Bovine colostrum is widely considered safe and efficacious in treating diarrheal infection in humans, that is, rotavirus, ETEC, enterohemorrhagic E. coli, including children. Antibodies in colostrum remain active in the intestinal tract. Oral bovine colostrum decreases the severity of viral upper respiratory tract infections in humans. Bovine colostrum contains immunomodulatory capabilities independent of antibody response. Bovine colostrum promotes normal cell growth and DNA synthesis. Researchers reported that colostrum stimulates maturation of B lymphocytes, a type of white blood cell, and primes them for production of antibodies, enhances growth and differentiation of white blood cells. Similar activity in both cow and human colostrum can also activate macrophages. Bovine colostrum contains immunoglobulins A, D, E, G, and M. IgG neutralizes toxins and microbes in the lymph and circulatory system. IgM destroys bacteria. IgE and IgD are highly antiviral. Okay, no comment about viruses. Colostrum contains living white blood cells, leukocytes. Bovine colostrum contains viable cells such as neutrophils and macrophages that secrete special proteins to support the immune system, including cytokines, lactoferrin, and proline-rich peptides. And here are some things you should know about whey. 10 things you should know about whey. The uniqueness of whey proteins is due to their ability to boost the level of glutathione in various tissues and to optimize the immune system. This is for undenatured whey products only. Beta-lactoglobulin compromises approximately half the total protein content in bovine whey. This protein has an ability to modulate lymphatic responses and to bind fatty acids. Alpha-lactalbumin is the second most important protein in whey. Alpha-lactalbumin plays a vital role in reducing the risk of some cancers as it constrains cell division. Bovine serum, the most important property of bovine serum albumin is its ability to bind various ligands reversibly. Immunoglobulin G, IgGs, LP, and LF concentrated from whey participates in host immunity. IgGs binds with bacterial toxins and lowers the bacterial load in the large bowel. The major application of lactoperoxidase is a protective factor against infectious microbes. Lysozyme inhibits antibacterial activity against gram-positive bacteria. It's also used in the treatment of bacterial and viral infections, skin and eye diseases, periodontitis, leukemia, and cancer. The protease peptide 3 component is found only in whey, excluding from the human source. It's a product during the fermentation of fat-free bovine milk and enhances the production of monoclonal antibodies. Glycomacropeptides contain large numbers of branched-chain amino acids, and whey compounds are able to survive passage throughout the entire intestinal tract. Whey components that provide antimicrobial action are IgG, IgM, and IgA. IgG binds to a toxin produced by Clostridium difficile, thereby reducing diarrhea, dehydration, and muscle aches. GMP inhibits binding of cholera toxin to receptors in the intestinal tract. And that reminds me, one of the major points of undenatured proteins are, as with whole food, it is 10 times better to take the entire whole food as a bioactive and not rely on components as the components do not work the same way as the whole food. And I'm not going to explain why, but now that it's coming out as to why whole food is different from medicine, and part of that reason is that whole foods are able to reach the mitochondria. So I'm losing my voice, so I'm going to end that there, and I will add the recipe and how to mix it and everything that goes along with it to this video as soon as I film it, and then this will be this is the only protocol you'll ever need for anything, and it's the world's best protocol, and I am very confident in that statement, and I have 20 years plus of research to back up that statement, and I will be happy to share that with you at any time. And a great deal of it you can find in Immune for Life, my book, and I guarantee that book will never be obsolete because everything in it is still being validated to this day, and there are many components that haven't even been found, let alone studied. So I'm quite confident that that book will never be obsolete as long as you are a mammal, and that's pretty much for the duration of your the lifetime of your species on this planet. So I'm very confident in every statement I make, and I do have the research to back it up. So, okay, I'll see you in a little bit. Have a great one, everyone. Thank you for your time. Bye.
Hi, everyone. Alternavita, as promised. Everything you'll need to do the exact protocol that I use for 4 to 6 months, and then 18 months, 18 to 24 months to completely reverse all of my aforementioned conditions. That was 8 years ago now, I believe. Oh wait, 2015, about 7-8 years ago now, I believe. Okay, so what you'll need: number 1, your choice of colostrum. This is my preferred brand, but whatever you choose. Whole milk yogurt. Plain is better, but if you don't like plain, try to just find a low sugar version. Whole milk yogurt, your choice of kefir. I'm going to use this goat milk kefir today, but this is not my usual. This is my usual, but they did not have whole fat milk kefir. That is what you need, whole fat. Those are good fats. All they had today was low fat, so I'm going to be using my whole fat, whole milk. 4 ounces of milk. If you can't tolerate 4 ounces, start out with 1/8 of a cup. This is half a cup. Start out with 1/8 of a cup. Move up to 1/4 of a cup. Most people can tolerate 250 milliliters. Okay, you're going to start with your yogurt. As many scoops as you want. I usually put a couple. Yogurt first. Then your colostrum. Anywhere from 1 teaspoon to a tablespoon. Depends on what you can tolerate. About that much. That's pretty much what I used. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go through some of the benefits that I noticed immediately. Then you're going to stir that in. The whole fat in the yogurt will completely dissolve the colostrum. I'm going to show you that here. So you don't, I used to add a fat and dissolve my colostrum first. That's no longer necessary, but it's in the document that I'm going to give you for free with this video. Just stir it up as much as you desire. And some of the first benefits I noticed within a month, a couple weeks or a month, greatly improved sleep. Then you're just going to add as much kefir as you want. That's up to you. Probably at least half a cup. Sorry, I'm using, this is my craft space. I'm going to use a craft cloth to clean that up. Probiotic of your choice. This is a Bifido blend. This is a complex. Whatever probiotics you like, make sure you have a complex and a Bifido blend. Add those. I'm not going to add them to this because I already did mine for the week and I don't need to do this every day anymore. First benefits, improve sleep. This will help get your circadian rhythm back in order, and that's a very good thing. And I continued to notice improvements weekly, bi-weekly. Maybe some things took longer, but I noticed continuous improvements throughout my entire treatment time, the initial 4 to 6 months. After the 4 to 6 months, my gut was healed. I could eat without pain. That was the first time in 26 years I could eat without pain. I didn't have to eliminate foods anymore. I could add wheat, I could add corn, I could add vegetables, I could add every single thing back in my diet with no problems. Those of you, whole milk, regular pasteurized whole milk. Those of you who claim you can't tolerate lactose, that's baloney. It's shown in studies that when you do not consume a food, you will stop making the enzymes to digest that food. Within a short time, you'll begin making the enzymes again to digest that food. Most people can tolerate at least 250 milliliters of milk. If you have a casein allergy, adjust as necessary. If you're, I don't know what the word would be, but if you're just obstinate as to facts, use whatever milk makes you comfortable. But the important thing is the lactose, because that's what the good bacteria likes to consume. And that will, the organisms in kefir and yogurt are able to convert the GC in GC globulin protein to MAF. And that's what you want. And you don't have to ferment it. You can. I have instructions in the document PDF I'm going to upload for free with this video, and that's up to you. But as I said, 4 to 6 months after 26 years of severe gut problems, I could eat whatever I want, and I can only describe the pain as like feeling like I was being gutted like a fish, and it only got worse as the day went on. It began with my first cup of coffee, and it didn't quit the entire day, and I suffered with that for 26 years. I also had SIBO, I had IBS, I had IBD diagnosed, and yeah, it was really, really, eating was torture for me. And this and SIBO recipe, I was fine. 4 to 6 months, 18 to 24 months, I reversed everything else. And today I just do this as a maintenance. You should consume 1 cup of whole fat mammal milk per day for optimal nutrition, for the nutrition benefits, and to keep feeding the microbes, the friendly microbes. Colostrum will increase your commensal bacteria by 52-fold, just using that alone. I already illustrated some of the benefits of colostrum in the previous discussion. You can buy my book, Immune for Life, and you'll learn every component in this entire protocol and what it does and what it's good for, and you'll be a whey, dairy, mammal milk, colostrum expert after you buy my book. 20 years of experience, the world's best protocol for gut and immune health. Okay, that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found that helpful. Come back for more. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.